My name is Daniel DeVore. I drive the '04 late model. I race for my father, and I race for DeVore Racing. It's sponsored by King Island Marina Bar and Grill, Alan Sawyer Law Office, Marketing Masters Realty Group, DJR Farms, and Hetty Home Staffing. And special thanks to King Island because he's my car owner. He foots my bill the whole way. So big thanks to him, and he owns the car that you guys talked to earlier. And I've been racing for 5 years consecutively. I ran 3 years of go-karts when I was 13, and then when I was around 15 and a half, 16, I started racing late models. So I'm looking for a win this year, and it's going to be a good year. This is our second race out for the Stockton class, but I came out here 2 weekends ago and ran with the SRL, or the Spears Tour, and it was a pretty good race. I think we finished 7th, so hopefully we can get a top 3 finish today.
Talked about mixing it up with the SRL series. That's a loaded class. What does it mean to not only compete here in such a tight division, but also to have such a strong run with such a good touring series?
Yeah. The tour series was definitely a learning experience to see those guys that are faster and that they're highly funded, and those are bigger cars, bigger teams, and it was definitely a learning experience to see the speed difference because they weren't that much faster. When I got out there, it just kind of felt like they were all drivers, Didn't really feel any different. It's kind of just a car in front of you, another one to pass, So it felt pretty good being out there with them. And the Stockton class is a really tight class. I think it doesn't get as much praise as it deserves because all of us are real close to each other. I mean, we got a couple guys in the front that kind of take off and leave everybody, but hopefully I'll be catching them in the next couple of races, so it'll be a tighter pack. But Stockton's definitely a fun track, and I like the club races, as I'd call them. The home track races. They're fun. So this is definitely my home track, and I look forward to being here the rest of the year and getting it done.
You talked about a learning experience. You mentioned started go-karting, made the transition to a late model. For those race fans who don't know, how difficult is that? It is not easy to go from a little go-kart. You got obviously a lot of horsepower. Now you're driving 100 miles per hour down the straightaway into the turn 1. Mm-hmm. What is that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of a weight transfer, trying to get the hang of that, because when you're in a go-kart, you're really low to the ground and there's no suspension. All you do is use the tires for suspension, so you're lowering tire pressure. And in the beginning, we were running bump stops and bump springs, so it was a stiffer suspension setup. So it felt almost similar to a go-kart, so it wasn't that bad for me to get the hang of. But passing on a circle track compared to a road course is a whole lot different game. I mean, trying to gain tenths of a second when you only have 4 corners is a whole lot harder when you have 35 corners to gain a tenth of a second. So it's just a completely different ball game. And then being in a Hans device and being surrounded by a roll cage is a completely different feeling than being in a go-kart. I mean, I was so young racing go-karts. It's a good thing that I wasn't as young as some kids out there, but it's a good thing that I did it so young that I got to get used to it while I was still in my youth, and now I'm 21, so it's starting to become the time where I need to start showing results and show that I know how to drive, We
talked about it right there, showing results. What's it going to take to get this car up front this weekend?
It's going to take a lot of teamwork. It's going to take a lot of whole strategy effort. I'm just try to keep my nose clean in the beginning of the race, try to just see where I'm at around like lap 25, and then start getting into it, start making some passes, and start getting up there to the front. Hopefully we qualify good, so I won't have to make too many passes. Maybe pop off, make a pole, and have to hang on to it for the rest of the night. You never know.
Indeed you do. Now it is the 75th season here at Stockton Speedway. You talk about it, not only what would it mean to get your first win, but what would it mean to get your first win on this historic season?
Oh man, it would mean the world to me. I can't, there's no words to explain how I'd feel if I got a win right now, even for my dad and my whole family. And we just worked so hard, and it'd be nice to be able to show some results to my sponsors, and just the whole family earns that, We feel like we deserve it, and I feel like it's our time.
Absolutely. And one last thing I want to ask you here. Obviously, Stockton's the home track, but you raced out with the Spears Tour. Do you see yourself going out, branching out to any other tracks, and where can race fans find you next?
Absolutely. I think Roseville would probably be the first track that we go to, either there or Madera. But hopefully I want to go to like Kern and Vegas, Bullring and whatnot. But winning solves a lot of problems, so I think if we can get some results here and start getting some good stats underneath my belt, we'll start moving to different tracks and start getting some wins elsewhere.